What do you think of a story about a small-town boy in Podunk, Idaho, who goes to the big city, a naive little boy, and comes back an overexposed man? In less than 2 years, he comes back to Idaho, a disease-infested individual drenched in disappointment and failure. So he thinks. He's actually radiating a great energy, a positive, influential awareness to all with an open ear. Hi, my name is Duane, and I'm HIV positive. I know you're wanting to know, well, how did I get infected? And my answer is, does it matter? What does it care? What does it matter if I went out, had a one-night stand with a guy or a girl, or shot up drugs, or got a blood transfusion? The whole thing doesn't matter. There's risks involved in which you get HIV. And now I have HIV, and now I have to deal with it. And you could get HIV, and you have to deal with it. It doesn't matter how you got it. The fact is, you have it, and you have to deal with it. I'm not just another person with HIV. I'm a man with HIV, a son with HIV, a brother with HIV, a grandson, and a nephew with HIV. I am your best friend.
Some people accepted it right off, and others had more problems with it, and I think that was with everybody, with friends too, that all the friends never really knew how to act at first.
As for the community, we don't advertise it, we don't hide it, and if we're asked, we are very honest about it, that it's not something that's right out there put first.
He's more of an outcast now. They don't understand it, so I don't know, it's like they push him away, and it's not fair to him. I mean, he's still the same person he was.
You are right to think you are better than it. We all are. But you are wrong to think you are too good for it. Anyone can become infected. Your age, gender, social class, and sexual orientation will not protect you.
Did you ever think your friends or family would be affected by HIV?
No, never. Nobody thinks that it's going to happen to them, but when it does, you deal with it. I mean, it's reality.
I got to thinking about what it meant that I was HIV positive. And then I thought of my mom, and I thought of having to tell my mom that I had HIV.
How did you respond to him when he told you that he was HIV positive?
Just gave him a hug.
Did he hug you back?
Yes. And then he apologized for killing my oldest son.
Well, that's very hard. But I loved him. It didn't make no difference to me.
It was a little devastating. I was surprised. I wasn't, expecting something like that. And it was awkward, but he's still my brother, and I still look up to him the same way, so.
I don't know if it was a normal reaction or not. I just gave him a hug and told him he was still my Duane, and we'd deal with it.
I just remember him telling me. I didn't know exactly quite what it was or whatnot, so I just kind of blew it off until later on, until I actually realized what it was.
My mom looked at me and asked me what song I'd like to hear at my funeral. I lost it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, Mom, this is way too soon to be talking about this. But it wasn't. It was a reality. We had to think about what would happen if I were to die. What would happen if I were to get sick and die? And because we didn't really know a lot about it, that's all we knew. So that's all we thought about at first.
I mean, we knew it was out there, and that was about it, and how to prevent it, but you don't really know anything about the disease unless you have to deal with it, I guess.
I try not to ponder on it or think on it. I mean, it's there, it's always going to be there, and the rest of his life and our life.
I'm sure he was very disappointed in me because I was his boy. I was better than all that. So it was kind of hard for him to, I think it was hard for both of us to even realize that we were in this situation. We didn't know how to deal with it.
He's always been with his mom, and it's always been Mom. Now that this has happened, I'm being there, and I'm going to be there, no matter how it goes. And he knows that.
I am almost numb, though it seems, feeling nothing but overwhelmed and fear, confusion, frustration, and lost, not knowing a single thing and reaching out at every angle, but not really knowing what it is I am reaching for, not knowing what I want or knowing what it is wanting with me, just reaching out with my eyes closed and every part of me not being able to function that way it would to reach out, to stretch out and grab what I am reaching for, and then I embrace it all for me, to have it engulf me with itself. As of December 31, 2001, there was 816,149 people living in the United States with HIV and AIDS, and 467,910 deaths had occurred.
What do you feel was most damaged by Duane's infection with HIV?
Duane's quality of life. His goals in life. He had set high goals for him, really high, and when he found out, I think it kind of crushed him, but as the years have went through, he's like, I'm not going to die from this. I'm going to keep going.
Maybe his self-esteem?
I guess it was his life. I mean, how can I say damage? I mean, I don't see damage. We're still living, things are still going. I mean, our relationship got better. I mean, I don't see any damage. I mean, outside of him being sick, and you can't see that now either. So it ain't changed. It ain't.
Again, I think it's really hard for everybody to really comprehend that I'm sick. I mean, I look good. I'm taking on the world, and I just have such a, I try to have a good personality about things. So it's really hard to see that somebody's suffering from this or dealing with this, and it's all good, but it's not. It sucks, but it's like you can still get past it, and you can go on and just kind of make the best of a bad thing. Just make the best of it.
There will be a time, I guess, when he'll become sick, and I want him to know that I'll be there to kick him in the behind, keep him going.
Approximately 40,000 new infections occur each year in the United States. 50% are under the age of 25. Why me and HIV? I don't know. I don't know why me. Why can't I do it? Why can't I overcome it? Why can't I love it for all it is? Why can't I open my eyes and see it? Why can't I reach out and touch it? Why can't I lay my head up to it and listen to what it has for me? Why can't I bite into its sweet juices? Why can't I feel it? And why do I long for it? Why do I need to know it? Why does it make me? Why is it me? I am just me in search of me. I didn't feel like I had HIV, I guess. I felt great. And I took these pills, and like a week later, I was so sick. It was horrible. I lost all my jobs in a matter of like 2 weeks. I couldn't get out of bed. I was stuck in bed for 23 hours of the day. Half the time I didn't know what day it was, what time it was, when I was supposed to take my pills again. If I had just taken my pills, I didn't know if do I take 3 green triangles and 4 blue diamonds or 5 white ones? It was just so confusing. And then when I was on the medications, I was so drugged up that it was really hard to even realize what was going on, let alone trying to be so precise on making sure I took the pills at the right time and took the right amount and ate with it what I was supposed to or not. And then I had to deal with side effects, vomiting and diarrhea and sleeping all the time, and it was rough. I didn't even feel like I was a person anymore. I was just so messed up from the meds that it wasn't me.
It's a lot of medication, and it's very expensive, and they have to take it so many times a day. And some people I know, they have to take like 50, 75 pills a day, and then you got to deal with all the side effects. And I do work with medicine, and side effects with medicine is just unbelievable.
For the most part, Duane is smart enough that he calls his mom, and they work it out together. If he made the decisions himself, it's really emotional. It's really hard because he knows what he has to go through. So I think the fact that he gets another opinion helps a lot.
You just really have to weigh it out, and you have to figure out, and you have to see how the medications are going to affect you. But don't just think that if you get HIV, you're going to take these pills and everything's going to be all right and you're going to live longer and la-di-da-di. No, it's just a really rough choice, and you really don't know what's going to work for you, if anything's going to work for you.
AIDS is the 5th leading cause of death among people 25 to 44 years old.
My biggest fear is watching him die.
Yeah, death was nothing I ever thought about before. And not only just death, but suffering and then dying and being a burden on the family, mom and dad having to take care of me because I was so sick I couldn't do it for myself.
My biggest fear is that someday it's just going to catch up with him and just kind of overtake him.
Suffering. People ignoring him, not having nothing to do with him. He is Duane. I mean, there ain't nothing different. He's just sick.
That Duane hasn't figured out what he wants and where he wants to be by the time it's all over.
And what are your biggest fears in the future for him?
Him having to suffer and having to go through a hard time. Nobody wants their loved ones to have to hurt and go through a hard time, and when you got something like this, it lasts a long time sometimes.
Most people with AIDS before age 30 were infected with HIV in their teens or early 20s.
Usually when you go out looking for the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams, you're looking for somebody who either makes a lot of money or looks good or treats you right, or, I mean, you're just looking for somebody who can take care of you, you know, you and your family that you want to have or what have you. And usually HIV isn't tacked on that list. It's not one of the qualities that you go looking for in another person. So I guess that's just something to think about as well, as, you know, is it's not easy getting a date when you have HIV, you know. That seems silly to even care about or even worry about, but, you know, I mean, everybody wants to have somebody to love them and wants to be in a relationship and maybe wants to get married and have kids and all that kind of stuff, and HIV can really get in the way of that.
Safer sex doesn't come natural. It isn't. If it did, you would have been born with a condom on. But you were not born with a coat on either. But you put it on in order to survive. Without it, you may die.
What ideas would you have for preventing HIV?
Just safety and knowledge. I think people need to know that how they can get it and how it can be spread and received. And
Well, for one thing, make sure you have safe sex, always.
Take precautions. It's there. It can happen to anybody.
A lot of people think, you know, it couldn't happen to me, and it can.
I mean, it's out there. You never know where it's going to be, who it's going to be, or how it's going to come. You just got to play it safe.
Well, knowledge would be wonderful if more people had more knowledge. It would just make things a lot easier, I think, for a lot of people.
And knowing that it's not just pregnancy they have to worry about, not just a case of an infection that's going to take an antibiotic, that it can kill you.
I think at least if Duane had more knowledge, he could have made the choice more wisely. Whether or not he would have been exposed, I can't tell you that, because his actions are his choice. But at least he would have the information to make a good choice.
Nearly 4 million teens get an STD every year. By the age of 24, 1 out of 3 sexually active young people will have an STD. We are all the same, all capable of the same glories, all filled with the same power, the same life. We are truly the only power strong enough to beat us. I am my worst enemy. It sounds cliche, but I believe it is so true. We must be able to not allow our potential, knowing our potential, to tear us down. We can destroy ourselves with our self-doubt, self-unworthiness, and self-disappointments. We are stronger and wiser. We are better.
What do you see in Duane's future?
Anything and everything he wants.
does he have a future? I mean, again, I don't know. I hope it's lots of good and happiness, and I hope he fulfills what his goals are. I mean, again, it could go either way.
I think whatever he chooses for his future, he will do his best to reach it, and I see him reaching any goal he puts forward and just achieving anything he wants.
We don't know how long we're going to have with Duane. Duane could be here today and gone tomorrow. I mean, with this, it's so experimental. You don't know how it's going to go.
We just hope that we have a lot of more time to spend with him.
All I can do is go day by day and take it as it comes.
Just people out there, play it safe. I mean, and if it does come down, just be there for your kids. Be there for your kid. He's going to need you, him or her, they're going to need you. And that's all I can say, is be there.
I would just say love him, support him, don't think about it, don't treat him any different, because when I hug Duane, I kiss Duane, my children, we don't think about that because we don't care about that because we love him.
They're just as wonderful as they've always been, and they'll always be there no matter what happens, and to make the best of a bad situation. Just go for it.
I don't really think about it myself. It's just, like I said, I still think of him as who he is, not as the artist.
You remember how much you love him? And the rest pretty well falls in place on its own.
If I didn't have my family and friends, I do not know where I'd be right now. If my parents would have disowned me or threw me out, or even my friends, or anything, I don't know where I'd be. I'm so thankful that I have a family and I have the support. But without them, I couldn't beat this. I couldn't survive this. I couldn't deal with this. It would just be too much.
What is your biggest fear for Duane?
That he'd let this break his spirit.
Do you think it will?
No.
What about Duane makes you smile?
Everything. He's just that kind of person. He makes everybody around him smile.
My boy, he is Duane.
Everything.
Personality, the way he acts, the way he's always cheerful, no matter what's going on, he's always cheerful.
Oh, everything. Everything about Duane makes you smile. His personality.
Just his attitude.
Just Duane makes me smile. He's always happy.
I am a real person with real hopes, real aspirations, real successes, real failures, real disappointments, and real issues. Issues that can be a real part of all of our lives in one way or another. You can choose not to put yourself in the same situations, but maybe if you have to be, that you can come out with a happy glow for yourself and your life.
I'm doing this video in order to try to get people to think and to feel what it's like to have HIV, or force somebody to have HIV, so that they can just kind of realize and maybe think about the things that they normally wouldn't have thought about before, and to maybe make some better choices in their own life about their sexual behavior, their risky behaviors, you know, and just really think about what they're doing and who all it can affect, who HIV can affect. And also that if a friend or a mother or a father or a brother tells you that they're infected with HIV, that you can kind of relate and understand, or kind of at least have an idea of what they're going through, so that you can maybe handle it in a better way, or you know, just with maybe just some compassion and understanding of what it is like to live with HIV or know somebody who's living with HIV.